The strongest part of your life may be the part that nobody can see. Think about a tree. Everybody admires the branches. Everybody enjoys the shade. Everybody notices how tall it has grown. But underneath, hidden from everybody, is a reason that the tree is still standing. The roots. Here's my question for you today. When the storms of life come, what are you rooted in?
Empowering you to live a life fully charged. This is 7,000 Volts, Living an Electrified Life with L.J. Tucker.
Welcome back to 7,000 Volts, Living in an Electrified Life. I am your host, L.J. Tucker, and welcome to another episode of Lessons from the Tree, where we explore one simple idea. Nature has always been our first teacher. Last time we talked about branching out, reaching, growing, stepping beyond what's comfortable. But today, we're going in the opposite direction. We're going beneath the surface, because before a tree can reach toward the sky, it has to establish something underneath the ground. Some people call it a foundation in their life, but it's the roots. And I believe that there's a powerful lesson there for every one of us. What you don't see, sometimes you can't see even with your hands not over your eyes. When you look at a beautiful tree, you see the results. You see the trunk, you see the branches, you see the leaves. Some people, they even complain about the leaves that's all over the gutters, all over the driveway. Can I just cut that tree down because there's so many leaves? And my answer is like, no. There's no reason to cut the tree down. Deal with the leaves. And then I have to explain to them, even if you cut this tree down, you're still going to have leaves. It's like, why is that? I said, because there's trees all around, and the wind is going to blow those leaves into your yard anyway. They say, I never looked at it like that. And that's my job, is to educate. So you have the leaves, you have the canopy, and maybe you enjoy the shade. Maybe you don't even have an oak tree or any tree in your yard, and you're enjoying the shade from somebody else's tree. But you don't see what's happening underground. Isn't that how life works? People see your success, but they don't always see your struggle. They see your business, but they didn't see the years it took to build the business. They don't see the monthly bills that you have to pay. They don't see the employees that you have to manage. They don't see the insurance rates that keep going up. They don't see the dump bills that keep going up. They don't see the fuel bill because of war going up higher. Those are all a part of the dynamics of what you can't see. They see the family. They don't see the sacrifice. They see the confidence, but they don't know about the moments when you question yourself, when you feel like giving up. They see the person standing today. They don't always know what it took for that person that remains standing. That's your root system. If you don't, some people know about the roots because they pop the driveway, they pop the sidewalk, they're going into the foundation of your house. And that's a part of the noise. That's some of the noise around the root system. But without that root system, that tree can't stand. It can't be admired. It can't provide that shade. The root system sometimes can be a nuisance when it's in an artificial environment. This is what I always got to tell customers sometimes, that your tree is in an artificial environment. And so it's going to disrupt your sewer line or your water pipes or your sidewalk in the driveway. It's not a reason to cut the tree down. It's not, give it some allowance. It's an artificial environment. And sometimes we can be in those same artificial environments and cause destruction, or somebody cause destruction in your life. And some of the most important work you'll ever do and will happen where nobody is watching. Those roots are just digging regardless. They're scratching itself for stability, to handle the weight of your success, to handle the weight of the tree. So my question is, what are you rooted in? Let me ask you something. What's your values, your character, your family, your principles, your purpose, your relationship with God? Because sooner or later, something is going to test those roots. It's easy to talk about your values when everything is going well. But what happens when doing the right thing costs you something? That's when you find out how deep those roots really go. Your character is in what you say when everybody is watching. Character is who you are when nobody's watching. That's root work. Not roots like casting a spell on you. Let me be clear. That's root work. The foundation. The storm doesn't ask for permission. As an arborist, I've seen trees that look perfectly healthy above ground, but something completely different was happening underneath. And I've seen what happens when powerful winds arrive. The storm doesn't ask the tree, are you ready? It just comes. One of the first things I have to do when I start to diagnose a problem for a tree is I see the canopy, I see the dieback on the canopy of a tree, and then I immediately look at the trunk of the tree and see, is there any blockage, cavities, roots, decay? And 90% of the time, one of the first things I notice, especially in the state of Florida, everybody loves their grass. And so they allow that grass to grow around the trunk of the tree. And what does that do? Well, it's taking nutrients and vitamins away from that tree, but it cuts off the carbon dioxide oxygen exchange as well. And when that happens, you're affecting that root system. That root system is not operating at full capacity. And when the root system is not operating at full capacity, it starts to trickle up. I know you heard about the trickle down effect from the top down, but with the tree, it trickles up. It starts the decline of the tree once the root system becomes compromised. So life works the same way. Nobody schedules adversity. You don't get an email saying next Thursday at 3 o'clock, your life is going to get difficult. It just happens. Financial problems, business problems, a family problem, a disappointment, a door closes, somebody walks away, something you were counting on doesn't happen. And suddenly the wind is blowing. That's not the time to start building roots. It's funny, I don't know if you're familiar with millings. Millings are something you lay on the ground to make it harder during the rainy season so your car don't get stuck in the dirt. Well, we carry some of that stuff. It's a byproduct of what we do. And because we carry it, it gets in demand during the rainy season. And when it's most people want to call because they need millings, I had a friend of mine, he just had about a truckload of them along with some rocks because his truck got stuck in the middle of his yard when he was trying to go out to work. That's not the time that you want to do that, because now you have to use double the product, because now you have to fill in the mush from the water that's making the ground really loose. So during the storm is not when you build roots. That's when you discover what you already built. We spend a lot of our lives trying to go higher income, higher position, bigger business, bigger house, more followers, more recognition. There's nothing wrong with wanting to grow. Trees grow upward too. But here's the lesson. The higher you want to grow, the stronger your foundation needs to be, because success without character can destroy you. Money without wisdom can disappear. It's funny, I was listening to Les Brown the other day, and it's something that I often say. It was actually a prayer of mine. It says, Lord, help me be ready for the opportunities when they come, instead of give me opportunities before I'm ready. Because if you got the opportunity and you're not ready, you may not get that opportunity again. Eminem says in the rap songs on one of his earlier albums, he said, you only get one shot. Do not forget to, How's it go? You only get one shot. Do not forget to shot the flow, or however that goes. I hope you get my drift. You have to be ready for those opportunities when they come. So you're not lacking the opportunity. You have to be prepared with your foundation and your root system. So when those opportunities comes, that's your time to shine because you're ready for it. David, when he defeated Goliath, according to the Bible, he didn't have to go do any special training at that time. He was ready when his time came. Influence without integrity can become dangerous. Opportunity without preparation can overwhelm you. Everybody wants the fruit, but very few people want to do the root work. Maybe instead of always asking, how can I be bigger? We should sometimes ask, how can I get deeper? Deeper in wisdom, deeper in discipline, deeper in patience, deeper in understanding, deeper in my purpose. Because sometimes the next level of your life doesn't require you to grow taller. It requires you to grow deeper. Roots also remind us of something else, where we came from. I don't care how successful you become. Don't forget your roots. Don't forget the people who helped you. Don't forget the lessons you learned when you didn't have much. Don't forget the mistakes that taught you wisdom. Don't forget the people who believed in you before everybody else knew your name. Growth should change your circumstance. It shouldn't make you forget about your foundation. There's nothing wrong with reaching higher. Just make sure you're still connected in something real. Here's something else I love about roots. Now, roots don't just hold the tree in place. They also help supply what the tree needs to live. The water, the nutrients, the vitamins. Think about it. The same system that anchors the tree also helps sustain it. Your roots should do the same thing. The right relationships, they feed you. Knowledge feeds you. Discipline feeds you. Gratitude feeds you. Purpose feeds you. Your values feed you. And when life starts draining your energy, you need somewhere healthy to draw from. That's why you have to be careful about what you're connected to, because whatever you're rooted in eventually shows up in what you produce. Here's something I've learned from working with the trees. What happens above ground and what happens below ground are connected. Look at the architecture of a mature tree. Above the ground, branches spread outwards, reaching to the sunlight. Below the ground, spreads outward, searching for water, nutrients, oxygen, and stability. They're not identical, but they're part of one living system. Change one part of that system, and the tree has to respond. I came to an emergency call one time because a tree fell on somebody's house. And I observed the tree. I'm like, this tree is pretty healthy. Why did it fall? So in my observation, I seen a clean cut root. And on the ground, I saw a new cereal pipe. So I asked the customer, I said, did you just have plumbing or sewer work done? She said, yes, why? And I smiled and I showed her the clean cut root. I said, because this is why your tree is sitting on your house. She's like, are you serious? I was like, you see this new pipe? It's in a straight line with it, and you can see this fresh cut on the root system where they cut it clean. And that was an anchor root that they cut. And then it rained. Water's 8 pounds to a gallon. Softened the ground. The wind blew and blew the tree right over on our house. And that's what happens. You change one part and the system has to respond. So I see the powerful connection to life, because maybe you started your life rooted in something that once made sense. A certain environment, a certain mindset, certain habits, certain relationships, certain paths. And those roots produce branches. And eventually those branches produce fruit. But what happens when you look at the fruit your life is producing and realize, I don't want this anymore. I don't need this anymore. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's negativity. Maybe it's bad decisions. Maybe it's unhealthy relationships. Maybe it's the way of overthinking that keeps producing the same results. That's when it's time to prune. As an arborist, when I structurally prune a tree, I'm making intentional decisions about the future development. I'm not just looking at where the branch is today. I'm thinking about it. Where's this tree going tomorrow? And a lot of times when I come with those decisions, there's a tree branch growing directly, the path is the house, or somebody's windowing something. So I have to intentionally, okay, how can we change the direction of that branch? Well, it has to be subordinated. We have to intentionally structure prune that leader so it doesn't grow towards the house anymore. It don't get no simpler than that for us as an arborist. We have to do same things in our lives. You prune habits that aren't serving you. You prune the thinking that is holding you back. You prune behaviors that keep producing fruit you don't want. You prune what is competing with the direction you're trying to grow. And then you begin redirecting your energy toward healthier growth. Think about this. You may not be able to change where your tree started, but you can influence where it grows from. That's power. I talk about some stuff in my book when I started making the decisions not to hang out at nightclubs with my friends or just go because that's what they wanted me to do. I started making decisions for myself. Because half the time I didn't even want to go out to a nightclub, but I got drugged into it because the friends I had in my circle at the time, that's what they did. And some of them still doing the same thing. 20 years later, they still hanging out in a nightclub, but that's their prerogative. I'm not judging them. Because your past may explain your roots, but it doesn't have to dictate your future. You can change direction. You can develop new habits. You can establish new relationships. You can learn. You can grow. And over time, the fruit begins to change because you change what you were cultivating. That's one of the greatest lessons a tree can teach us. Sometimes growth means adding something new. And sometimes growth means having the courage to prune what no longer belongs. So here's what I want you to think about this week. What am I rooted in? And then ask yourself a second question. Are my roots strong enough to support where I'm trying to go? And maybe there's one more question. Is there something in my life that needs to be pruned? Because life will have storms. The wind, it's going to blow. Seasons will change, and sometimes you will be tested. Somebody's going to test you at the grocery store. Somebody's going to test you over a parking spot. Somebody's going to test you just because they don't like the way you look. But when your roots are strong, when your values are strong, when your character is strong, you can keep standing. So stay grounded in your values, stay connected to your purpose, keep working on the parts of yourself nobody sees, and never become so focused on growing taller that you forget to grow deeper. Because the deeper the roots, the stronger the life. I'm LJ Tucker, and this is 7,000 volts, living in an electrified life. And until next time, go and be a good human and stay electrified. God bless.
This has been 7,000 Volts, Living an Electrified Life, available on YouTube and your favorite podcast app. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. For more information, visit us on the web at ljtucker.com. Remember, stay electrified.